You ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You gonna be able to do it?
Yes, I am.
And on this episode of Open Mic Night, going through puberty. I don't know, but your voice is really tiny right now.
Well, I didn't realize that you were gonna hit record.
Well, it's also not about the size of the voice, it's how it's applied.
It's not the size of the voice; it's the motion of the ocean.
Oh, God.
How well does your son know this material?
We're gonna find out.
Pretty well.
Literally, this the opposite of like self-assuredness right there.
They think one time a customer asked me something over the phone. I was like, "Yeah, that's it," and then they were like, "Are you sure? You don't sound too sure of yourself." And I was like, no, I'm not sure."
You ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You gonna be able to do it?
Yes, I am.
And on this episode of Open Mic Night, going through puberty.
Yay, twice in a row now.
So, hey, welcome to Open Mic Night. This is Tommy. I am here with Lucas as always, or Lucas is here and I'm with him as always. Either way.
It sounds like you might be my personal savior.
Yeah. We have a special episode, but before we jump into that, I just wanted to do a quick recap of information. Number one, if you want to contact the show, you can do so by emailing us at openmicnightpodcast@yahoo.com. That's openmicnightpodcast@yahoo.com. In addition to that, we're just coming out of the Christmas and New Year break. Matter of fact, I should play that New Year song whenever this episode starts. Like, how does it go? I don't know. There's like this New Year song that they always...
Is there? Because you know what I always listen to on New Year's Day? Because I don't know what else to put on.
New Year's Day by YouTube.
That's it. I don't know what else to listen to, and it's the only song I can think of. It's like
Should
New Year's Day.
YouTube sucks.
acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot?
It also has nothing to do with, actual New Year. So I don't know. What song are you talking about?
I don't remember. I'll have to play
Is it that like something blah blah something forgotten acquaintance blah blah blah?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
I know what you're talking about.
So to recap real quick before we do this special episode, going back to Christmas week, we were dealing with an illness in the family, so Lucas and I weren't able to get together. So we ended up releasing a couple of bonus episodes, which were old Funtime Horror Show episodes. Two of my personal favorites. One that was basically, I guess, like Lucas and I used to take turns doing episodes sometimes, and so one was mine, one was his. I redid his story of the Candyman, which is like a Houston legend when it comes to serial killing. And then I released a creepypasta episode, The No End House. If you didn't hear either one of those, go back and check those out because they're...
The No End House is one of my favorite stories.
I didn't know how much I liked it until I went back and recently listened to it again. And I'm like, man, there is a lot of love that went into that one. So then I did an episode that I'd been working on that I wanted to do with Lucas. But again, since we couldn't hook up, I ended up having YouTube as my co-host. And we covered the topic of sovereign citizenship. Did you get a chance to listen to that one?
Dude, I have to tell you, that one was, I don't want to say cringe, like you did a great job by yourself.
Thank you.
But the audio, I had to keep pausing it. It's like whenever you're watching a movie and there's a really embarrassing part and you have to like pause the movie and like stand up and walk around for a second and come back. Like that's what I kept having to do because some of those sovereign citizen audio clips were freaking brutal.
Well, I missed a golden opportunity because I got pulled over Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. I was on the way out to Conroe, Texas, and I got hit up by a state trooper. And I had my neighbor with me. So the state trooper pulls us up. I do what I always do. Pull over, turn on hazards, roll down all four of my windows, mainly because my window tint's illegal as shit. Rolled down all four of my windows, had my license, my insurance card in my hand with both my hands on my steering wheel, waiting for the police officer to approach, right?
Right.
That's the way you're supposed to do it, Phil. And as soon as they walk up, you say, good afternoon, good morning. And they say, yeah, I pulled you over because of this and this and this. And you're like, you either apologize or you don't fight. You don't argue. even if you know you were right, you don't sit there and argue on the side of a freaking highway. You just do what they say they're going to do, take your warning or your citation, move on, and wait for your day in court. That's the day that you argue on. So, with that said, I missed a golden opportunity because I did the motions like I've done, I don't want to say 100 times before because I haven't been pulled over 100 times, but like, let's call it a dozen.
I was going to say a dozen, yeah.
A dozen is a good round number. So I hand him all my stuff and everything else. Anyway, as the trooper comes back, he tells me he's going to give me a warning and stuff. Basically, I have those tinted license plate covers on my truck. And he said, that's not good. Take those off your vehicle as soon as possible. I'm giving you a warning. And I said, thank you very much. And then I started laughing and he's like, is there something funny? And I said, well, I missed the golden opportunity and I just realized it. And because I had told myself when I did the Sovereign Citizen episode, next time I get pulled over, I'm going to crack my window 1 inch. And before he even starts talking, I'm going to say, sir, what do you know about sovereign citizenship? And just see what their reaction is. And he was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, it was like a friend of mine and I, we have a podcast and we just did a episode on sovereign citizens. And he's like, yeah, they're out there. And I was like, so and then I got a chance to actually ask a state trooper like a few questions. And I was like, what is it like to like talk to him? He wasn't going to get into, he was very professional, right? Which when you're a state trooper, like, you're basically like elite. What is it? The Texas Rangers probably.
Yeah, they always look like Marines with their big their hats.
Their cowboy hats.
Yeah,
and very, very stereotypical like Texas cop. But he said, yeah, they're out there, and you just do the best that you can, and try to move on to the next customer. I don't know what the next offender or whatever. But yeah, I missed an opportunity there. I've always also, when a cop pulls me over and they're like, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, does it have anything to do with all the dead prostitutes and cocaine in the trunk? Like,
dude, those are the only jokes that you could make.
Man, you get the wrong one. Like, if you get the right one, it's perfect, right? They're immediately just going to laugh, I would think. But that's a pretty serious thing to say to a fucking cop.
Oh, God, I can imagine them like, get out, sir. I'm going to have to search your vehicle.
And that's fine. I would, just keep my hands up. It's cool, man. But, and then I guess why did I release the other 2 episodes? I don't remember. Oh, it was because in the spirit of Stacy being sick with the flu, I wanted to do 2 more bonus episodes, and I found 2 that Stacy and I had worked on. I don't know if you went back and listened to those or not, but they were cute.
Yeah, she brought the cute factor.
They brought the cute factor, except things I wish I didn't know. Did you ever listen to that episode?
I did. In fact, I think you worked on it like right in front of me whenever we were still sitting in together.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like, yeah, some guy had a tree, like a whole tree grow inside of his lung or something like that.
Yeah,
a bunch of crazy things like that.
It was just one thing after another. And the whole time, Stacy doesn't want to hear like any of the stories. And then I just unload another story and another story. And I don't know. There was like 20 or 30 things that I wish I didn't know. So what brings us here tonight, boys? Or who is this young man that I'm staring at right now?
So this is this kid that I was driving here and I didn't have any ideas, and I was like at a stoplight, and I was like, hey, you know how to tell good stories? And he was like, sure, mister. And so I hired him for $5 to tell the story today.
You promised candy. I don't see any.
Whoa. So this is my son. He turned me on to a story about, what's the guy's name?
Nasubi. He was a Japanese stand-up comedian.
Okay, so this guy's name's Nasubi. So one day, me and Karina are at the house just relaxing, and he comes around the corner and he's like, hey, Dad, I have this idea for one of your next episodes. And he starts telling me about it, and he calls up the YouTube video, and it turns out to be quite an interesting story. So it pretty much is the story of a guy, and he can go into the details, but this guy, just imagine a reality show. Anyone that you would like Survivor, or one of the ones where you start off with a large group of people and it slowly, like, people get eliminated. So all these people were trying to enter into this year-long show where at the end of it, they had the opportunity to win. How many was it, like a million yen or something like that?
No, that's not how it was.
Oh, well, let him.
Well, before you begin, young Phil, as you may or may not be aware of, people who are under the age of 18 aren't even allowed to listen to the show, but here you are hosting on it. So congratulations.
Thank you. It certainly is an honor.
Without going into too many personal details, because you don't know what kind of fucking maniacs are listening to us, tell us about yourself first, and then let's get on with the story.
I'm in marching band. Lucas is my dad, and Tommy is my second mommy.
It's because I have titties, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. How old are you?
I like that it rhymed.
I am 14 years old.
14 years old. Oh, man. If I could be 14 again. Okay. I can't get into any of those stories. I don't want to influence you.
He doesn't need a lot of help these days being influenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Instagram for that.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the internet.
The internet.
I didn't know what the internet was until I was 17, so I had to figure out 14 to 17.
Wow, I was just born with a phone in my lap.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead and tell us your story. It better be good. No pressure.
So there was this Japanese game show, and it was, at first, they got a bunch of people to sign up to be a part of this show that they were working on, and it was a lottery at first. They grouped all these people into one room, and whoever got a certain card or something was the one who was picked for the show, and it was only one person. So, anyways, what started off was no one knew what the show was. They didn't know what they signed up for. They were just promised fame. So this up-and-coming comedian from Japan, he was blindfolded, taken into a car, and taken to some unknown location. It ended up being a hotel, and they told him to strip his clothes. And he was very confused at first. He thought it was a joke, but he ended up having to get naked. And they told him the rules of the show, which was he had nothing to live with. He didn't have water. All he had was just a room. They didn't supply him with basic human needs at all. He would end up starving later on, but he had to enter in sweepstakes, mail and sweepstakes. So he had to enter in those, and whatever he would win for that would go to his amount of money he made from the sweepstakes. So whatever the item cost of the value was, whatever the cost of the item was, went to this certain,
like, dollar figure?
Yeah, I guess. I went into this grouping of money, and he had to reach 45 million yen, which is around a couple 100,000, about a $250,000 in USD. So he had to win that money to get off the show. And later in the show, he ended up having to earn more money. Like, they ended up extending his stay, and he ended up being there for like 15 months.
Whoa.
Like, it was crazy. And he didn't cut his hair. He didn't do anything. He didn't have any clothes. The only article of clothing he got was some woman's used panties.
Oh.
So one of the things that stuck out to me, he talks about there being a lottery. In the beginning, I remember seeing footage of like a huge room full of people. So he was the one that eventually won the lottery to compete. But when they first started, like, none of them knew what it was going to be. And they were all just like he said, they were promised fame. So they're waiting to see who wins. This guy wins, and then once he wins, he's all like, "Oh, sweet! Like, I get a chance to do whatever this is." And then that's when he gets taken to that hotel room. And I think the first thing he won was it the panties or was it like the rice? There was like one of the first things.
First thing he won was, I think it was a couple pounds of rice, and he won some like pot plant or something. And eventually, because like I said, he didn't have
like
food.
A pot plant or a potted plant?
Like a pot for a plant, like a ceramic pot.
Oh, just a pot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he didn't have any way to eat the rice, so for a couple months he just ate it raw. But in the hotel that he was in, they had a stove, and he ended up using this weird thing from a packet of these fiber jellies. It was made out of metal, and he ended up cooking the fiber jelly packets next to a stove with a gas to heat the rice up.
That's right.
So he had to get like real creative if he was going to live.
Just
Yeah.
imagine someone like in a prison setting.
Was there a safety net at all like involved with this? Like if the dude was like medically failing to like thrive?
They would have a doctor come in from time to time who would just check his vitals and stuff, but every time he turned out to be fine, even if he was like really skinny. He ended up losing a bunch of weight, and for a while he had to live off dog food for his nutrition.
So something to kind of fill in the story. So these sweepstakes, like he's signing up for things and sending off, and he doesn't know what he's going to get. He's just trying to make up this total that they've given him. And he can't leave that room until he reaches the total that they've given him to win in sweepstakes. So the bigger the item, the better. Like the more expensive it is, the better.
So they give him like retail value of whatever it is that he.
Yeah.
Who's putting on the sweepstakes?
That I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't know if it was maybe the producers of the show or where it was coming from. That
Okay.
part I don't know. But so imagine like when we say like he was eating rice and he had to eat dog food, it sounds like this is happening really fast, but this is over a series of time because he would send away, like he'd send out for this. And imagine you're just sitting there naked, right? Like you don't have clothes, there's no food, there's nothing. And the only, like it's pretty much like a jail setting. Like you have nothing except for the walls that you're kind of in. So anything he gets from those sweepstakes is like his connection to the outside world. So like that rice, when he gets it in the video clip, like he's like really, really happy because he's like, oh, thank God, finally I can eat. Like he's just ecstatic. And then you see his face just drop when he realizes like, oh shit, I don't have any way to cook this rice. So then he has to, that's where the fiber jelly comes in because he had won some.
You said it. I think you told me briefly a little bit about this story, but one of the things that you had mentioned was he basically like just stuck it in his mouth and started like chomping down on this hard, dry rice, right?
Yeah, he tried to figure out how to eat it. He's like, man, I'm hungry. Let me just try and eat this rice. And you hear it like crunching in his mouth, and he's just like, I mean, there's no way you're gonna like be able to eat that. It would scratch your throat all up. He wasn't successful trying to eat it that way. So I guess at some point he had been given or had won this stuff called fiber jelly, which is like, we don't know what it is. The narrator of the YouTube video was like, I guess it's a Japanese thing. I don't know. But like, it's just some sort of gelatin food supplement with fiber in it. And so the stuff that it had come in, the packaging it came in had,
You got me curious. Sorry.
had a metal frame or had is it a metal frame?
Yeah, it was a metal frame.
And so he got creative prison style, and he was like, well, let me try and figure out how to cook this rice. And he took the metal frame and I think he took a cup and he put the rice in there and kind of like let it heat. Like he turned on the oven or the stove, but because he didn't have a pot, he had to put the cup, like he put the cup as close as possible to it without putting on direct heat. And he made this like basically a mushy rice pudding thing. But that's what he was able to eat off of.
I'm sitting here looking at Fine Japan Enzymes and Dietary Fiber Jelly Supplement. I wonder if that's what it is.
Now, something else to keep in mind with this whole thing, he does not realize he's being live streamed. Was it like 24/7, right?
So at first, it was just they would take the footage that he was recording, they would edit it, but eventually they did live stream him. And they would follow him around to cover his genitals.
Oh yeah, it was someone's full-time job to keep like track of where he was moving around to keep his balls blurred out, right? So imagine this is like 98 maybe
97.
97. The live stream, the quality of the picture on a live stream from back then is very fuzzy, right? But they still had to worry about that. And so this guy, it's like the Truman Show, right? Like he does not realize the entire country is watching and being entertained by him. He just thinks that he's being recorded by these game show people for it to be aired later, right? So this show becomes very, very popular, like ridiculously popular. And the people who, the source video that we were watching where we saw the story, they paint it like he was being tortured. And I don't know. I mean, I think it makes it makes it entertaining to spin it that way. And he definitely had moments where you see him flustered, but I don't know. I wouldn't call it torture. He definitely, I mean, this went on for over a year. So he's in there, and imagine you don't know where you're at. You're naked. You have limited resources. But people are just loving this show. So they start to figure out where he's at. So at some point, and one of the things that producers of the show would do to mess with him or to kind of like rattle his cage is they would just show up. They would just show up without warning and like shine a flashlight in his face, and he'd be like, oh, like what's going on? Like real disoriented and stuff. And they come in one day and they're like, hey, get up, get dressed. Here's some clothes. And he's like, did I win? Am I finally getting out of here? And he's all happy, right? And he's all like excited, like finally, you know, because at this point he's been given like fake panties or women's panties that were too small. Like he tried to put them on and they wouldn't go past his like knees. And then I think, you know, that dry rice, he won a stationary bike. Or no, he won a bike, but he couldn't do anything with it. So he got creative and made it into a stationary bike. Like he really had nothing going on. So they show, the producers come in and they're like, hey, come on, get dressed. We're going to get going. And he's like, oh, did I finally win? He's like really excited. He's finally out. He's like moving in a vehicle. He's like, oh, awesome. They have him blindfolded. He thinks, man, I'm going to go win my prize now. And then like they took him to another hotel. So when they take off his blindfold, he's in it. To him, he never left. It's the exact same kind of looking room. And he's like, what the fuck? His face is just like so defeated. And they had to move locations because the audience was like figured out where he was at, and they were showing up and like getting this big crowd in the hotel lobby and stuff. And so they had to move him because they were afraid it was going to be spoiled.
But
yeah, go ahead, Phil.
But the thing that they didn't tell him that people found out where he was. They told him it was for increased luck because he had a cold streak for his sweepstakes. So they said it was for increased luck with a new address, and he did winning a little bit more, but then again went cold, and they had to move him again because people found out where he was.
Now your dad just said that. Oh my God! Every single time. How many times have I bitched at you about putting your phone on silent?
That's what happens whenever you are a jerk.
But that's just to clarify for the people listening. That was not Lucas's phone. That was mine.
Mine's across the room charging.
So, well, your dad just said that the media, right, painted this as torture, and he thought that maybe they were kind of overblowing that. But everything that you described to me would be like so torturous to me personally. Mainly the thing where you talked about like he would think that he had finally won, or that things were happening and then nothing happens. Like that's the fucking worst. Like I just watched the Texans game on Christmas, okay? And I know you're not a football fan, but you'll understand this. So Stacy gets the flu. My Christmas is canceled. Every get together, all the food that I was going to make, everything is canceled. We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. I'm sleeping in the guest room, so I can't even like be with my wife for Christmas, like in the same room, right? The same bed. I guess I could, but I was really trying to avoid getting sick. The only thing that I had to look forward to was watching the Texans play on Christmas Day, and they come out and get fucking smashed, dude. Like they didn't even score a single offensive point.
They didn't score the entire game?
No, they scored it, but it was defensively. Yeah,
defensive, they got a safety, got 2 points, but their offense didn't score a single point. They couldn't even kick a field goal, okay? And I'm just sitting. So that was the only thing that I had to look forward to, and then it just crushed me, right? Now imagine being this guy, and you haven't seen your family in a year. You haven't had intercourse in a year with another human at least. You haven't been able to participate in anything that maybe you have vices to. So like if you like to drink, or if you like to smoke, or if you like to eat pizza on Friday nights, like everything is stripped away from you that you know and love and that you're familiar with. And then there's this like glimmer of chance of hope that that it's going to be all over. And they're like, nope, you're restarting all over again.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't think about it that way. That would be pretty disheartening.
Yeah. It's the worst.
He was also taken away from social life as a whole. Like he wouldn't see people, like not just for a couple of days, but for months and months on end. He wouldn't see anyone. One time, a room service came to his door because they're like, "Oh, this is the food you ordered," but he didn't have a phone in his room, so he couldn't have ordered any food. And it was just heartbreaking to see this like amazing piece of like plate of steak with broccoli and stuff just taken away from his hands. And there was also like Tom Hanks' Castaway.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was just thinking about when you talked about being just separated from people. This fucking guy starts talking to a volleyball. So
That's exactly what happened. So this guy, he wins this like plushy thing of a seal. I forgot what he named it, but that ended up being his friend. And he would talk to it, and anytime he would open a new thing he got in the mail, it would just like, oh, this plushy thing. He would celebrate with it, and he would dance around with it.
I think you should, because this is right up my alley. And when your dad told me about it the other day, I was like, yeah, I got to hear this story. Because you had another story, but then you told me about this one. I was like, this is the one I want to hear, right? If you would like, I would like to invite you back to maybe do a fun time horror show style documentary, step by step of what this guy's life looked like for a year. Do you think you could do that?
I think I could do that. I just need some help writing it.
And you have to talk real slow and solemn and deep like this when you do a fun time horror show.
Oh,
You have to build up suspense.
Like we're on Sword and Scale?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not supposed to say that.
Except good. No, that's a great show.
Not cranky.
Probably one of the best shows ever. But yeah, it's I think like you telling the story mixed with like maybe some dripping sounds, you know, like what might be in a cellar with like a creepy soundtrack playing behind it, and like echoes, like a man yelling, and all he hears is his own echo. See, my producer mind is.
I can hear it.
Yeah, it's all happening.
It's
right
like
now.
Resident Evil when you're about to get jump scared.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what we should do.
Can you think of some of the other things he won? Because there is a point where he wins dog food, and like.
Oh, I heard you say he was eating mostly dog food, but I didn't hear about how he got the dog food.
Just like with everything else, he had won it. Like he had sent off, this for his next prize, and he had won a big bag of dog food, and. I remember watching the video of him doing it, and he just looks like, even like, trying to eat dry rice, things like that. That's one thing, but you could see in his eyes, it's incredibly demeaning to be sitting there trying to eat dog food.
Well, again, more psychological warfare, which is like, to me, that's the worst kind of torture.
Yeah, and that is really because as a homo sapien,
a homosexual,
I was thinking that too.
He almost had it. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we almost had breaking news on open mic night.
As a homosexual, now as a homo sapien, you kind of have this high view of yourself. We're kind of a very smart creature.
Sure.
So you're like, here I am, butt naked, eating dog food. Like it kind of, I imagine that would really mess with you and just make you feel like degraded.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many things that's popping into my head right now. The biggest thing is, how much did you say you won?
He had to win 45 million yen or something like that.
How much is that in dollars?
That's $250,000.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. You don't have a job, so I'll ask Lucas. Would you quit your job, your career, leave your family to basically go do an unknown list of deeds, like participate in something that you're not familiar with in order to win $250,000?
No, not at all.
I can't see a life where like that would happen. Like we could send Phil to go do it. He doesn't have anything to do anyway.
Yeah, like someone single with no kids or no like life. But then the thing about that is, do you really have the drive to get through that if you're that kind of person?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, because usually, I guess if you're single, you're probably maybe a little selfish, right? Like you're used to just being able to go out and do what you want to do when you want to do it and buy what you want to buy, and like you don't have to take things into account like the way that like a family man might, right? Or like a mom, have with kids to take care of. So would you go do it?
I mean,
I know $250,000 to a 14-year-old probably seems like a lot of money.
It definitely does.
Do you have to pay taxes? Because now you're sitting on about 175.
Yeah, the taxes is definitely going to take some out.
I mean, could you do that?
I mean, probably for not the length that he did. He did it for 15 months. I would say probably for like 3 to 4 months for half that money.
Well, shit, I'd do it for 3 months.
For half the money, I would do it for definitely 3 months.
Yeah, I'd probably do it for 3 months for half the money.
I have insomnia really bad. Without my creature comforts, I would just be laying there naked all the time.
I mean, I wear women's panties now, and nobody pays me anything.
They're comfortable as hell. So
I'm just playing. Everybody knows I don't wear.
We walked in, he was wearing maternity clothes.
So he gets to a point where he actually hits the number he's supposed to hit. And the producers end up in this kind of uncomfortable situation because they're like, well, shit, he won, but this is kind of a cash cow for us. We're getting a lot of, viewership and a lot of, money from sponsorships and stuff now.
Yeah, they're probably making hundreds of millions of yen.
Yeah, they were raking it in because of this guy's suffering pretty much. And so they're like, well,
doesn't it pretty much sound like any job you've ever had though?
Yeah,
like there's a company raking in tons of cash off of your suffering.
Yeah, it really, I guess in this way though, it's more direct. Like we clearly are exploiting you.
Right. Yeah, but I wanted to ask, I don't know if there was any other details, but I definitely want to hear about like this guy's last day. And then I think you said something along the lines of there being some type of aftermath.
Yeah. So after he won the challenge, they took him to this park in North Korea, not North Korea, sorry, South Korea. They took him to this park in South Korea where he had the best day of his life, and they put a suit on him. They paid for his carnival rides and everything. And the sad part about it is that he was taken away from clothes for so long that he said that the clothes were uncomfortable and itchy. Anyways, he had won the challenge and was really excited about it. But the producers went up to him, put him in another room. Like, they blindfolded him after he was back from the amusement park. And they put him in another room and said, would you like to continue the challenge for this much more money? And we don't know how long it would take, but you'll get more money out of it. And he said yes. There's a conspiracy that he said no and they forced him to do it. But he did say yes. And the screwed up thing about that is after he did say yes, he was winning really quickly. So like he had to afford his plane ticket home. That was basically the goal. He had to get a plane ticket from South Korea back to Japan. And they kept on upgrading the class. They went from coach to like economy to like business class. That's what it is. From coach to business class, from business class to first class, and they kept on doing it. And once he reached first class, they were like, wow, we really have nothing left. So as one big final like FU to the Nasubi guy, what they did is they were moving, like they came into his room, blindfolded him. He was used to the process, and he was like, okay, well, it looks like I'm moving locations again. He went to this room, and they didn't tell him to take off his clothes this time, but that's all he's used to, is taking off his clothes whenever he goes into a new room.
Yeah, he's been institutionalized.
Exactly. And he takes off his clothes, and right as he gets comfortable, all the walls fall down, and he's inside of some sort of like stage, and a bunch of these people are watching him naked and like laughing at him and stuff.
It's like a studio audience?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then they finally announced to him he won, but he hasn't been around this much people in such a long time that he's frightened by it for a little while. It's crazy.
Yeah, like you can see in the footage, like he doesn't know how to act. Like he's kind of like, almost looks like not a caged animal, but I guess for lack of a better phrase at the moment, his eyes are just like kind of like, whoa, like wide, and he's like, what the hell's going on? He's looking around kind of like panicked. And yeah, man, can you just imagine, like, you're like, all right, well, time to get naked again, and you get naked and you sit down in the middle of this empty room and all the walls just fall and there's just a bunch of freaking people. You haven't seen a person in 15 months and all of a sudden it's a room full of people looking at you butt naked. Like, that's fucked up.
That's what I'm saying. This whole thing is, yeah, it's like a nightmare for me. By the way, you've referred to a video like 2 or 3 times. As maybe some homework over the next few hours after y'all get home or whatever, can you guys send me links to those, and I'll try to see if I can implement some of the audio. Yeah. And then, and I know Lucas is probably going to announce some social media stuff before the end of this show. I would love to put some of that out as a, I don't know what you call it, like a support of this episode.
Oh, like promotion for it?
Yeah, like a promotional deal. That would be really, really cool.
I have to get up and grab my phone. Do you need to pause the thing so you don't hear me rustling around?
No, go ahead. Me and Phil can we'll carry the show.
Yeah,
Good Lord. I wonder what that's going to sound like on the
My chest just bumped into it, so I wonder how that sounded.
Yeah. So, are you going to using your phone to get the details?
Yeah.
Yeah, no rush. Just whenever we're closing out, I'll have the Instagram ready.
I mean, we're pretty much at our daily limit. So whenever you're ready. You know any good jokes? You know any inappropriate jokes, Phil? Like jokes that you and your friends say when you and your dad's not around?
Yeah. Okay. Knock knock.
Who's there?
I did app.
I did app. Who?
You did a poo?
What?
I did a poo? That's what you said.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I did it.
Man, it smells like up dog in here.
What's up, dog?
No, what's up with you?
Oh, you got me. Yeah. That was really bad.
What do Pink
That
Floyd
was
and
Rod Ryan.
what do Pink Floyd and Princess Diana have in common?
What's that?
Their last big hit was The Wall.
Wow. Okay. That was right up this show's alley.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. So, hello. This is Lucas Garza speaking. I am one half of the host of your favorite show. I finally got some social media going. Currently working on Facebook. I created a Facebook for us, and it thought I was a bot. So I had to upload a picture of my face to prove to them that I'm a person. Instagram's up though. You can find us at funtimepods_open mic. That's funtimepods_open mic, MIC. Because for some reason you wouldn't think so, but there's a boatload of accounts with open mic night in it and even podcast in it. And it was a hell of a time to find that handle.
No, I can get that. I found the same thing difficult after we had already nailed down the name of the show.
Right.
And then I went to start registering stuff. Yeah. Yeah. There's only 100,000 shows to dig through whenever you type in open mic night.
It's cool. Ours is the best one.
The cool thing is our show is starting to move ahead rapidly in the algorithms of, sorry guys about the dogs. It's starting to move very quickly up the list in the algorithms of I got on Spotify the other day and like YouTube music and stuff like that. And I typed in open mic night podcast and like we were pretty much like right there. So
Sweet.
Yeah, we're having some pretty good success, I think, with downloads as far as being like a new young show, right? So that's good, but definitely, folks, if you guys like what you're hearing here, can you like go out and tell like 10 people about us or, something or share like one of your favorite episodes on your Facebook or your social media or whatever. And then I don't really understand how social media works too much. That's why Lucas is doing it, but I think you could probably even share our links and get people to check out our stuff. And then the other thing too is like, I guess every time, I will take the social media that you're doing. I can put it onto our website and then I can like share them directly. Like as new episodes drop, I can share them directly to those social media links.
Oh, from Buzzsprout?
Yeah.
And then, okay, that's perfect. I gave you the credentials for the Instagram. I don't know. I think I texted it to you.
Yeah, you did.
But it's going to be the same for all of them. Like, I'm just going to have the same login and password.
All right, sweet. I don't know if we should announce that to the world or not. Because once they figure out one.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and your mother's maiden name. Okay. You got anything else, dude?
Hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season, and we're looking forward to good things in 2025, baby.
Yeah, one other order of business is as I was turning on the computer today, I saw our unfinished Mel's Hole episode sitting on the desktop. We've already said that we were going to do this episode like 30 times, so at some point we might want to finish that one up.
Oh, I thought we had finished it.
I don't think we did.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I guess that's what we're doing next Wednesday. Next Thursday.
Yeah, but I found another cool story.
Oh, is it the one you were showing me about the...
Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones.
That's pretty awesome, too.
Phil, do look up the Georgia Guidestones. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
You didn't have to turn the mic just to do that.
He moved the mic for a soft okay.
Yeah, so you did really good, man.
Thank you. You did too.
Well, thanks, man. I've practiced a little bit more, though, than you have.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah? Is that a fat joke? Anyway. Yeah. Whoa. You look like a sissy. I don't care. Anyway.
Man, I don't want to hear it.
You look like somebody hit you in the face with a sack of nickels. Like a rat chewed on your face.
You look like Rosie O'Donnell's belly button.
Wow. Okay. All right.
That was a good one.
Yeah, matching wits with a freaking what the hell are you? You barely passed a preteen.
14-year-old.
Yeah, 14-year-old. I was trying to find out something more creative.
Whoa, did you fart in here? Your indigestion stinks.
My indigestion? Anyway, you guys have a blessed night. We'll catch you next time.